Starting an online business can be a lonely ride, especially when you're trying to change the world one day at a time. But you're home now, in a place where inspiration flows thick and fast, and we arm you with the how-tos to get started, grow, and thrive in business. Welcome to the Wellness Entrepreneur Podcast with business coach and trainer Katie Wyatt. The mission of the show is to simplify online business so you can focus on your mission rather than your marketing, because it doesn't have to be that hard. Let's leverage your time so you can have more impact and amplify your message. You are a change maker. We need you loud and clear. Wellness entrepreneurs. Passion can change the world and make good business.
Hello, babes and bosses. Where are you at? What are you doing? I am currently ensconced beneath a pillow fort. Yes, a pillow fort. It's true. I'm like under layers of doonas and pillows because I'm recording this on holiday in Western Australia, which is my hometown. And I'm here to, visit family, show off the babies. And I don't have my usual tech equipment with me. And so hence the pillow fort. But that's what I love about podcasting. You could just roll with what you got. But I am, it's weird being on holidays. I'm feeling a little bit weird this week about getting work in my business done. So I didn't quite decide, my mistake, before coming on holidays whether I was working or not. And so I'm actually finding that every day I'm constantly torn about whether I should be working or not and feeling guilty. I know, it's weird, but yep, I'm raising my hand and I'm saying, no, I don't get it right every time. I'm not hitting sixes with every innings. I'm not even sure if that is a cricket analogy or if it is, if I got it right. But anywho, can I tell you that this episode 51 of The Wellness Entrepreneur is toe-curlingly good, because today I'm interviewing a client of mine who I'm so terribly proud to call my client. She's a life coach. She's a Lululemon ambassador. She's the meditation guru on Virgin Airlines. And, well, this list goes on. And she's an absolute superstar life coach and a spiritual guru. Get ready for some business truths, some Hawaii awakenings, and more than a little woo-woo. I love this episode. It's definitely one of my favourites of recent history, and it was really, really cool to have this conversation after working with Erin for months and having very much client coach conversations to really change it up and just be able to get super curious about her life and journey. And I'm going to dive right in because I just don't want to mess about on this one, but I do want to invite you to listen after the interview, as I have a few little tidbits and a free gift to share with you at the end. But for now, it's time to meet Erin Kyna, intuitive life coach, manifesting guru, and meditation teacher. Erin, welcome to the Wellness Entrepreneur Podcast. It's absolutely fabulous to have you here. How are you doing today?
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really good. Thank you.
It's so cool that we get to do this. So look, I'd love to start off by getting you to just do an intro. Tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Sure. So predominantly, I would say that I'm a life coach, and on the sides, I've got all these little periphery things that I do that I love to do, including teaching meditation, teaching yoga, reading tarot, teaching and practicing Reiki. And so all of that falls under the one umbrella of Erin Kyna Life Coaching. And I just follow my heart and where it takes me and how I can help the most amount of people.
Awesome. So let's just dive right in, because there's a lot of life coaches out there now. I don't know if it was like that when you first started out, but but I
No.
just no, yeah. So I mean, I think, coaching's the same, online business is the same. There's just been a massive increase over the past few years in people doing this stuff. So, like, how have you found your way to stand out, I guess? Or was it just a product of being, first to market, I guess? Well, what do you think it's been about?
That is such a fantastic question and a great insight that I actually haven't thought about in ages. But I remember in 2012 when I moved back to Australia and said, I want to be a life coach. No one knew what I was talking about. And I was terrified of that. I was actually petrified and thought, I'm not going to be able to make it. No one knows about coaching. And my best friend, who is in marketing, said to me, Erin, this is an untapped market. And it was such a massive shift of perspective for me to go from, oh my God, that's my obstacle, to wow, that's a fantastic gift. And I did feel very grateful to be kind of riding the crest of that wave, as coaching has become part of the household conversation in Australia. And that's what I love, that people now are actually saying, hey, you should see a life coach. So all of a sudden people are now aware of this fantastic, powerful tool that we have, which in the past people were unaware of.
Yeah.
So I don't know actually how I've personally come to stand out. I do believe that a lot of it has just been through my intention, and everything that I create and everything that I put online, I ask that people have the experience of me before they've met me. And I get emails from people who are like, I just love your website. There's just something about you. So I know that intention is actually connecting, and people can really feel that. I've never really followed a strict plan. I've kind of been a bit higgledy-piggledy with everything, I guess. Just what lights me up in that moment. All right, I'll follow that path until it's no longer lighting me up, and then I'll turn again. So I believe every coach can have the same impact, because sometimes it feels like there's too many coaches. Sometimes we feel swamped by so many coaches, and yet there are millions and millions and millions of people who need help. There will never, ever not be enough work for the amount of coaches that are out there. It's just about really refining your message and connecting with the audience that's ready to hear what you have to say.
And yeah, I think that's an interesting point, because I see the same thing with health coaching, which I think is starting to go through the same cycle that life coaching has done, in that, I interviewed a gorgeous lady on my podcast a while ago who was like literally the first qualified health coach in Australia. And just talking to her, and she had a lot of challenges of just really educating people of what she actually did. Whereas now it seems like, well, it's also the circles I hang out in, but it seems like everyone's becoming a qualified health coach, and it can feel like, well, there's too many of us. But I think you're right in that, well, there's positives and negatives to both, and the positive of being in a crowded market is that people know what you do. They sort of get it. And so then your job is to stand out and connect with the people that you're best placed to serve.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And my partner used to say 10 years ago, everyone wanted to be a DJ. Now everyone wants to be a coach.
Oh, that's so true. I think I went through that stage. I've still got the vinyl to prove it. Oh wow, that's a trip down memory lane. So let's talk about your website, because it is beautiful. And I was just, I have worked with you, so I know your website reasonably well, but I just went through it again before we got onto this call. And there's one thing you say that's about helping, and it comes through quite a bit on the site, about helping others to earn their crown. And what does that mean to you? Like, what is it that you're driven to do?
That just makes me smile so much. I wish that you could see how big I smile when you say that. That all came about as a result of sitting in meditation one day and literally feeling a crown being placed on my head. And I was like, whoa, what was that about? And so I lay down and I just opened myself to receive that information. Like, what does it really mean for us to wear a crown? Who would we be if we are walking around with a crown on our head? And that kind of opened up the world of sovereignty to me, that we all have the ability to be completely sovereign within our own being, that we don't need to be giving our power away to others, that we don't need to be having our power taken away. We don't need to take power from other people, places, and situations. And when we're truly connected to ourselves, we almost become immune. Our energy field gets a bit of a shield on it. And when people try and play energetic games with us, which generally happens subconsciously, most people aren't even aware that that's what they're doing or what's happening to them, those kind of things just bounce right back off your energy field. The energy will actually come in through the crown, through your higher self, and you become this self-sustaining, fulfilled, happy, generous being. And everything that we give and share in the world then becomes like an overflow. There's no deficit that happens from us giving. So when we're not in a state of sovereignty and people give, often it comes at a cost. And say I've got a cup of water and you've got a cup of water representing our energy supply for the day. If I'm going around and giving, I'm depleting that energy, and therefore I need other people to fill my cup of water back up. So this little subconscious power play happens, and I'm sure everyone listening has had the experience of when someone wants to give you something, but at the same time you feel that there's this need. Like you almost don't want to accept that because you know that they need something in return. It's not an unconditional gift or offering. And many people in the service industry, healers, coaches, all of us, we have this desire to give, to heal. And many people do that at a detriment to themselves. And it's a necessary path for us all to go along, I guess, is to go there and go, wow, I'm completely depleted from doing what I love. Why is that? That can't be right. How can we sustain ourselves as coaches, as healers, as people in the service industry and not come from a place of need in return? So when we fill our own cup, when we become sovereign and self-sustaining, that cup is overflowing. So everything that's pouring out of my cup costs me nothing and therefore doesn't cost you anything to receive either.
Wow. And so what's your process for or even just your personal process for making sure that you do feel like your cup is overflowing?
Meditation.
Meditation.
You knew that was coming.
Ding, ding, ding.
Meditation, we are, like our whole being is being dipped back into the water. It's like we're soaking it up as a sponge as we access the unified field through meditation practice. So we become far less depleted. But on a more practical day-to-day sense, number one is just identifying what are our needs, what do we need from others. So the awareness is always the precursor to choice, to being able to do something different. Number two is asking for those needs to be met very clearly. Like I often say to my mum, I'm going through a really tough time. Would you mind texting me more frequently? It really helps me. So rather than just like feeling needy and going, oh, I wish someone would just reach out, I actually very clearly say, the best way you can support me right now is X, Y, Z. For a lot of my friends, it's like, I just need to talk, but I don't need advice. I don't need you to fix it. Could you just listen? So I asked to have that need met. And then the final step, the enlightenment step, I guess, is to be the supplier of all of our own needs. How can I meet that for myself? How can I listen to myself? How can I reach out and nurture myself when I need it?
I love this. Like whenever I talk to you, it's always a conversation that's happening on a much more spiritual level than a lot of the conversations that I have. And even on the podcast, I mean, obviously I'm really into the business and the marketing side of things. And so I just want to kind of make clear to everyone as well, like this, the path that you've trodden and not having a plan and just going with intention, which is not normally the way that I would suggest my clients work, yet it's brought you enormous success almost just by accident. Like you're a Lululemon ambassador, you're on Virgin Radio, like on your website, you've got the Fin Review, you're a soulpreneur teacher, like there's so many things that have just come your way because of, I guess, the power of you standing in your truth. How do you think that's happened? Like, has any of that come from strategy for you?
Kind of. It's a really good point, again, that you bring up, because I wouldn't recommend everyone does what I do. I feel sometimes if I said to other entrepreneurs, just go out and hope for the best, like you would be setting some people up for failure because, A, they're their constitution isn't the same. The way that they're built or them working in their genius or their power isn't the same. But it is definitely something I've worked on to become so, quote marks, lucky. It's, I believe, a basis of having a really clear intention. And I never used to be like this because I didn't have mastery over my inner world. My emotions and my thoughts got the better of me. And I was up and down 100 different times a day, feeling upset, feeling triggered, getting jealous, feeling sad, feeling elated, really joyful. I was just, a bit of a pinball in a pinball machine, kind of getting bumped around by the world and letting it dictate how I was feeling. And so through all this work, through coaching and getting to know my inner self and mastering my inner self, recognizing where my fears are, where my limiting beliefs are, getting to the real core of what's in my heart and who do I want to be and what's right for me, all of those kind of processes allowed me to become so much clearer in energy than what I was before. And then with that super clear energy and the super clear intention, we become a magnet because the law of attraction actually dictates that like energy attracts like energy. So if you can keep your energy consistent and clear, you will constantly be attracting. There's nothing we can do to stop it. We're actually made of an electromagnetic field. It's got the word magnet in it. We're just going around broadcasting a signal all the time. So if we're really clear within that, we can just attract. But as I said, if that's not someone's constitution, if someone works really well in structure, if their mind just loves tables and figures and plans, this would be a disaster for them. I've just identified that this is the best way for me to operate. And I love getting support, like working with you allows me to complement what I'm doing with someone that has skills that support me in a way that I can't support myself. I tried to be everything to everyone. It just drained me. And now I'm like, wow, how can I let someone else stand in their genius? So I hire a business coach. I hire a healer, whatever it is that I need, let them do their thing. And then that allows me more space and opportunity to do my thing.
Okay, so there's so many things I want to dig into here because you mentioned luck, and I want to come back to that because I know that you teach, you talk about manifesting a lot, but I keep coming back to that what you were saying about when people in service are wanting to serve, but they're coming at it and there's this unconscious need within it. And I so get what you're saying because, I talk to people at the level of like if you're selling your services from a place of desperation, like, oh, I have to make this sale because I need to make my rent, or I just, then that comes across. And I think we're talking about the same thing.
Yes.
So how would you encourage someone to identify, because sometimes that's really unconscious, so how would you encourage someone to identify what place they're really serving or selling from?
That's a fantastic question again. You're very good at these
full
great
of them
questions.
Today.
I often ask my clients, would you do this if you weren't getting paid? If you take the money, the financial aspect out of it, would you still be doing it? Would it be your heart's desire to be doing what you're doing? And if they're only doing it for the money, you really have to question, is it the right thing to do? We really have to show up as coaches with all of our needs met because it's not our client's job to fulfill it for us. So if you want your client to perform in a certain way to make you feel good about yourself, you're making them responsible for you. And for all of us, I'm sure, as coaches, have our own coaches, how would you feel to show up and know that your coach needs your validation to feel good about themselves? It would be a really bad taste in your mouth. You'd be like, ooh, no.
Yeah.
You should be feeling good. I want to come to you and receive, not to come to you and give. So it is a really important awareness to start. You're right. I'd say most people do start from a place of unconscious needs. And your question was, how can we become a little bit more conscious of what it is that we need or where we're coming from with our actions?
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, what you said just reminded me so much of Elizabeth Gilbert's latest book, Big Magic, where she talks about that in relation to her writing, that she, came to a decision early on in her writing career, I guess, or it wasn't even a career then, just her, her her identification as a writer, where she said, I'm never going to ask inspiration and writing to look after me. What I'm going to do is show up every day. I'm going to write every day, and I'm never going to ask for anything in return. Yeah, I'm not going to ask it to feed me, clothe me, look after me. And she attributes that and continuing to have jobs. I think she continued to work until even after Eat, Pray, Love came out. And she says that's probably a lot to do with her longevity in comparison to other writers who just threw it all in and said, I'm only a writer and my writing has to take care of me, and then burnt out completely because it didn't happen fast enough or whatever. So it's kind of, I feel like it's exactly the same thing.
Yes, I would say so. Yes, we need to show up as coaches and not ask anything from our clients. And really, it just highlights a lack mentality beneath it, that if I don't get this client, I'm in trouble. If I don't make more money, I'm going to miss out or not pay my rent. And we never want to be creating from a lack mentality, because that vibration attracts more lack. We need to know that we have everything, that we're always going to be okay. Hence why it's important to have the support of coaches and a support team. So many of us go out there into entrepreneurialism and think, okay, I'll do it all myself and I'll save the money and do as many different tasks in my business as possible. And that is when we get burnt out and are unable to continue. But if we can have these support people who remind us, like, yes, we're good enough. Yes, we're doing a great job. Celebrate our successes, reward and celebrate ourselves when we have milestones and achievements in business. The more we focus on the things that we do have, the more we create what we do have.
Yeah, love it. And so just coming back then to some of those successes that you have had, and I'm kind of holding on to those particular brand names just because everyone will know them. But you said that you're giving off this, like you're in touch with what you're doing, and that becomes a magnetic thing. How did some of them, maybe can you give us an example of how one actually came to fruition in just the practical daily level? Like, did you go to an event and meet somebody, or did people just find your website and reach out? Like, how did it end up happening?
There's been a combination of both. And often it's beautiful to look back and say, where did these things start? And they started in a really organic, natural way a long time ago before you even realized. It was like in every interaction that I was having. Yvette Luciano from Earth Events, who asked me to teach meditation for her Soulpreneurs workshop, I met her at an event she was running in Melbourne right when I left my job to launch coaching full time. And I was petrified, and I was worried that my secure income was not going to come in anymore. And I was really drawn to this course, but I was concerned about money. And so I thought, how can I still receive this without it needing to be about money? So I emailed her and said, hi, I love the look of this course that you're doing. However, I've just left my job to coach full time. Is there any way I can assist you? Can I offer something else? And she said, we'd love to have you as an Earth Angel. So I got to attend that event as well as contribute. And it put me in this fantastic position to get to know people on a deeper level, to get to know the other Earth Angels, to get to know the women who were presenting, and to get to know Yvette. So that was the beginning of our relationship. It came from me saying, I don't want to have to pay for a ticket because I don't know where my next paycheck's coming from. So really, lack mentality, that's what kind of sparked that. And then I changed it. How can I still receive here? How can I still have everything that I want? And then, just knowing Yvette for a couple of years and getting to know her, and we hardly know each other, actually. She just reached out and was like, hey, you're the one that comes to mind. So I guess we're leaving little droplets of ourselves in every single interaction that we have. And it all just, it's like a garden bed. I guess we just water it and nurture the relationships that we have and the relationships that we have with our audience. And yeah, most of them have just sprung up from the garden as beautiful flowers.
I love that. And I think that it's such an important thing in the way that we do business, because it is, it's all of those tiny things that you think mean nothing. It's going to that event, or it's reaching out to somebody, or it's paying someone a compliment, or helping somebody with no expectation of anything in return. It's all of those things that add up. And that's kind of one of the things I go on about a lot, is being consistent. And, whether that means blogging consistently, but really what it is about is showing up consistently. And if you're doing that and showing, yourself consistently and who you are consistently, then those droplets are being dropped like in all the right places. And that's, I just keep saying to people that there's no silver bullet, there's no magic pill. You just have to show up consistently. And if you keep doing that, things will happen. I mean, it might not be Lululemon ambassadorship, but things will happen. So, yeah, I love that you said that.
Yeah, Lulu was a great opportunity too. And that came from, again, just natural, organic relationships, getting to know my local community. And they'd never had an ambassador for meditation in the country. And so they had to apply to the company to get an exemption to ask me to be an ambassador because I met their requirements of someone that was a leader in their community, but didn't fall under their typical guidelines. So, and just before that, I'd put my intention out. I want to reach a wider audience. I want to expose myself on I'm ready to be seen on that level, which is what was holding me back before. And then all the pieces just fall into place to allow this stuff to happen. And I know you've given me a little tap on the bum about consistency too. I know it's something I need to work on in terms of content creation. That's really something I'm working on at the moment and want to do well, is consistent output of content. But I can also feel, and I'm sure people have also had this experience, of someone that seems to be showing up but it doesn't feel authentic, or it feels a little bit needy as well. It's like, oh, this is the process, so I'll follow the process and I'll definitely have success and I'll do X, Y, and Z. When it's not necessarily like, oh, is it in my heart to show up today or to be in this Facebook group or whatever it is. So I would also just urge people to just make sure that the way they're showing up every day is in line with their intention.
Yes.
And comes from their heart and not from their head.
Yes, I love this. I love this because I feel like what you're telling me in the way that, you consciously manifest is like the intuitive version of being consistent. Like I feel like they're the same thing. If you're being consistent in a way that feels true to you and inspired, and not, oh, I'm doing it because somebody said I had to. It's the same thing. It is being really intentional about who you are and what you do and showing that. So I guess it just feels like what I talk about with consistency and what you're talking about with manifestation are really mirror images of what we're both on about from just a different slant. I don't know. Do you feel that?
I totally agree. And I would actually recommend, for the greatest success, is to have one foot in each party, is to have a plan and consistency and a strategy, and have the positive intention and the faith and focus on the energetic side of things. And those two together are a powerful thing to harness.
That is beautiful. And so you talk about manifesting a lot, and you've talked about setting that intention. And is there anything else that you really need to be doing to manifest your intentions that we haven't touched on?
Well, I would say that working on the limiting beliefs, the fears and the doubts that stand in the way of you believing that you can have everything that you want is probably the bulk of the work. Because as I said, we're all a magnet. There's nothing we can do to stop magnetizing. But what is it that we are attracting to us, and what's standing in the way of us attracting exactly what we desire?
Oh, I love that. I'm having so many aha moments in this episode. It's so good. And so, just on a different topic, you've moved to Hawaii recently, which seems like, just kind of like the mothership for people that do what you do and enjoy kind of practicing and serving in the way that you do. So tell me, how's that been? What's the location independence lifestyle like?
It is amazing. And it is the mothership. I am the least weird, least spiritual person on this entire island.
Oh, that must be so strange. After Melbourne.
It's given me a great sense of self-acceptance, because I truly am accepted in all ways here. I'm not seen to be different or strange which I didn't realize subconsciously I was holding on to that belief back at home, potentially because of experiences during school and my family of origin. But here I'm like, oh, I can be as weird as I want and I'm never going to be the weirdest. But it's interesting about the location independence because that was never why I got into doing what I was doing. It was never the reason why I started an internet-based business. Again, it was just this calling from my heart. And yet these are the seeds that were planted so many years ago to allow this transition to happen now. So I every day start and end my day with gratitude, and I never fail to be grateful for a business and a place to serve in the world that allows me this incredible freedom and to be on this incredible journey.
And do you find, are you working within the Hawaii community, or is it more just that's where you're hanging out while you're working online?
At the moment, it's just been an online presence, but the beautiful thing about Lululemon is it is an international community. So they're actually taking my ambassadorship on board over here on Oahu and Maui. So I've been in touch with those stores. I'm creating an event here in Kauai late July. So I think that'll really help me be a part of this community, because what's interesting about location independence, for all of its glory and goodness, it also leaves you a little bit isolated because your work isn't out there with the people on the island. So whereas if I had another casual job in hospitality or retail, I would actually be getting to meet people. But I do sometimes find that because my work is online and I'm on my computer, I try to limit it to 4 days a week. It does limit how much I'm actually in contact and getting out and meeting other people. So it's definitely part of my manifestation. I've actually just created something called Field of Dreams, because I don't know if you remember that movie. You heard this whisper that said, build it and they will come. So I was like, right, well, that's what I want. I want community. So setting up Friday afternoon, 4:00 on the beach every Friday. And I'm just going to invite all the people that I know, invite them to bring one other person, and we celebrate the end of the week every Friday and watch the sunset.
See, I like that because, you know, we talked at the beginning of this interview about how when you started out, you were, you know, I guess a bigger fish in a small pond because there weren't that many life coaches. And now you've pretty much moved to a place where everyone's spiritual, everyone's kind of a natural life coach, whether they practice that or not. So you are living that experience that, say, a new life coach today would be coming across, of feeling like, well, everyone's doing it, they're further ahead than me, they're, you know, more into it than I am. I don't know, like, do you see that sort of cycle happening? Yeah.
Oh my God, exactly like that. You think you've got all your stuff down pat, you think you've done all the work, and then you put yourself in a new environment and so much of your stuff gets triggered. And really it's a blessing, so we can work through it. So I can see that that stuff was there. But it was a big shock to go from feeling so safe and secure and loved within my community and walking out of my door on Chapel Street and not being able to get to the end of the street without at least 10 interactions and cuddles and people coming up. They're like, oh, I follow you on Instagram.
Oh,
like
my
these little
goodness.
moments of celebrity that just made me feel beautifully loved and valued. And now I'm in an environment where I knew one person on the entire island, and no one knows me as that. I'm not showing up in this community as a teacher or a leader or anything that I identified with in Melbourne. I've just come in at a completely different level and trying to find myself and working out, how can I feel valued? How can I feel loved, even in a place where I don't know anyone? So it's been beautiful and challenging and fun and difficult, all wrapped into one.
Oh, gorgeous. Thank you so much, Erin. I've just loved our chat. I just feel like I need to go and download all the things that have come up for me while we've been talking. It's been amazing. Thank you. Now, how can people find you if they want to learn more or find out more?
So my website is erinkyna.com, ERINKYNA.com. And I've just launched, through your beautiful support and inspiration, an online meditation live streaming community so that my beautiful students in Melbourne can continue to meditate with me. So we do live stream meditation calls twice a month. So they can find out more about that at erinkyna.com/TCC, the Connection Collective.
TCC, beautiful, and we'll pop all of that in the show notes. But thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope your Wi-Fi holds up for you. It hasn't been too nice to us, but yeah, have a great day and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks so much for having me.
Do you or do you not love Erin? I really think, I was thinking back when I listened back to this, that the thing that stuck out most for me in that interview was the conversation that we had, and I'm paraphrasing here, about the things that we bring to the work that we do. So, and it was really where Erin was identifying some of the power in her coaching. And it really made me reflect, like if we show up to a coaching session feeling like we need validation from our client or feeling unsure, it kind of screams that desperation and lack mentality. And it really made me think hard about when I show up to my coaching sessions with clients, whether I'm more in my own head than in the space of serving them. And I definitely don't get this right 100% of the time, but it was a big aha moment for me to kind of have that reminder and that trigger to think about it and get really conscious of that in the coaching work that I do. So I'd love to invite you to ask yourself the same question. What baggage do you bring to your work that might be impacting the clients that you attract and the quality of the work that you do? And I'm just saying, just notice it, just, journal on it. I guarantee that if you do, things will change just from the noticing. Now, as always, this episode was brought to you by my business, Katie Wyatt, the Wellness Entrepreneur, but also we have a new sponsor on the show. Yes, we do. This is Audible. Yes, the website where you can go and get books that somebody else reads to you. I'm so excited. I've only recently come to accept audiobooks in my life. When it comes to Kindles and audiobooks, I'm not an early adopter at all. But now that I'm here, I love the technology and the way that it's changed my ability to carry a lot of books around, basically. So the last few books that I've read on Audible include Amy Poehler's Yes Please and Pat Flynn's Will It Fly, and both were read by the authors, which makes it extra special. Anyway, thanks to Audible, you can now get your own free audiobook, totally free, just for using my super special link, which is www.audibletrial.com/TWE. Easy. Make sure that you tweet me and let me know what book you chose, okay? I'm at Katie T. Wyatt and I can't wait to hear from you and get another book recommendation. Till next time, be well, be business savvy, and we'll talk soon.